Tragically, we're learning this morning that a UAW picketer was struck by a vehicle in Milan, Illinois. According to labor notes, Jonah Furman, picketers had previously complained about the poor lighting along some of these picket lines, particularly this one. They've also told them that trucks swerving at the picketers, eggs thrown at them, and other kinds of intimidation. In light of this news, we want to discuss new reporting from the Intercept's Ken Klippenstein. Gives insight into John Deere's PR scramble after another dangerous accident occurred when a non-union worker crashed a tractor on the factory floor on the first day of the strike. In a slide deck obtained by the Intercept, executives worried about, quote, reputational risk, instructing employees to keep information about the accident and all future accidents confidential.
Ken also reported that the leaking of meeting slides forced factory manager Rosalind Fox to forego presentation materials in future meetings, telling employees, quote, what we're going to do, I'm just going to talk to you verbally here because we've had situations where people are screenshotting and it's getting out into the media and we don't want to do that. Now, online research into Fox has given important insight into the working culture at John Deere actually before the strike. The Harvard Business Review actually completed a case study into Fox, the first black woman factory manager at John Deere earlier this year. They wrote in part, Rosalind Fox, the factory manager at John Deere's Des Moines, Iowa plant, has improved the financial standing of the factory in the 3 years she's been at its helm. But employee engagement scores, which measured employee satisfaction with working conditions and enthusiasm about their work, have remained lackluster. As the first black female factory manager to lead the plant, Fox considers how to build stronger bonds with her staff, who are mostly white men. Ren, this is an interesting story on many, many levels, and I think we were inclined actually, and I think reasonably so, at first to laugh because the crash earlier that had happened last week that Ken reported on, it's funny, it's Michael Scott in the warehouse. This morning's news takes this to another level. It's tragic, and it's so serious, and even when there was a kernel of humor in it, it was serious because we knew that this could come.
Right, and there are two major risks in these types of strikes, and they come at the picket line. This fatality is not unusual in the sense that in Alabama, where you've had striking coal miners, you've had a number of cars that have veered into picket lines. Sometimes it's an accident; they don't see people. Other times it appears to be deliberate. Mm-hmm. So it is dangerous out on the picket line. You're right next to the road. You're trying to be there, 24/7. As Jonah Furman reported, they had been complaining about the broken lights for a long time. You have people driving late at night or early in the morning, groggy, can't see people. And then the second major safety risk is that you have completely untrained salaried workers who are not in the union, who are then dragooned into the warehouse to keep the product lines moving. And they don't teach you in business school how to drive a forklift, how to work any of this machinery. And so a couple of hours training might be enough to enable you to do your job for a couple of days, but it's going to be a lot more dangerous. One of the workers said to Ken, this one of the salaried workers, mm-hmm. they're going to get us killed.
Yep. Yeah, and that's not surprising at all because of all the reasons you just laid out. They don't teach you how to drive that in
it's
heavy
not their
machinery.
Job. Turns out it's hard to do.
Of course, and it does require skill. And so, of course, this is what's going to happen. And the second element of this that we were reading off here is that Fox has this really sort of impressive pedigree by certain standards, having gone through the halls of academia and now in Des Moines in the Midwest, sort of trying to relate to the working class white workers. And it's interesting because it does kind of show this dynamic where you have, major corporations who tap people and put them into these roles. And there's still, I think, a struggle to bridge that cultural gap and to bridge that sort of understanding. I don't think it's racial so much as it is class. Like that can be a hard bridge to gap.
And to her credit, that as far as we know, there haven't been any accidents at her warehouse, at her plant yet. These have been elsewhere in Iowa. But if you listen to her presentation, it's ironic that it was leaked to Ken,
Yeah.
because it's about how we're not going to leak.
Yeah.
She tells the salaried workers there, you guys are the best people on the planet. I'm so proud about how everybody has rallied together around the company. And then immediately after that says, but we're not going to be sharing details on accidents anymore, because you guys are leaking them to the media.
Right.
Which actually, to their credit, I think that would be that backs up the claim that these are good people, because they want this strike to end as much as anybody else does. This is the lower level management that is kind of being forced into this situation, and they are not organized, and they're not legally allowed to be organized. It's not as if they rejected being in a union. The union has to be the workers who are not in management, and so so they have said, like, look, just get this over with as fast as possible.
Right.
And there's so many orders coming in. There's so much money coming in. These tractors need to get built, and they need to get out the door, and they need to be built as quickly and as safely as possible before anybody else loses their life for this.
And I think maybe your most qualified person in business school is not necessarily going to be your most qualified person to deal with employees working class employees in a really serious situation, and I think that's playing out right now.
Yeah, so hopefully they meet the workers' quite reasonable demands soon, and
it's too late,
end this strike. It's too late for the picketer who died this morning.
Yeah, it is. It's a sad story, and hopefully it doesn't get any worse before it gets better. We'll be back with more Rising after this.